Thank you so much for taking time to do the interview with me. I really appreciate that.
No problem.
And I love the organization. And could you please introduce yourself and the organization that you represent?
Sure. So my name is Susan, and I work for Chinese for Affirmative Action. And we're a civil rights nonprofit based in San Francisco, Chinatown. And we serve the low-income and immigrant population in San Francisco. We do that through a variety of things. We provide a lot of direct services to them, a lot based on providing jobs services, and also we provide some policy advocacy as well. So we work a lot with local elected officials and state officials too, to make sure that policies reflect the needs and the contributions of our immigrant communities.
Awesome. And I first thought that the organization was started by Vincent Pan, but then I read more about it, and it was like, wow, it's like a very long history.
Yeah, it's been around for 43 years. Yeah, I think 43 or 44 years. It was founded in 1969. So Vincent has been the executive director for, I think, almost 8 years now. And so definitely I can see why, you associate the organization with him. So we've been around since 1969, and it was started by a group of student activists. And they were working in Chinatown, during that time, which is, the civil rights movement was happening. And they saw that there was a lot of need for an organization to actually represent the rights of Chinese Americans in education and also in government representation. And so that's kind of how it started. And over the years, of course, they've taken on more issues, and we are how we are today through those years.
And how did the organization sustain itself in the very beginning, and how does it sustain itself now?
In the beginning, started off like a lot of nonprofits, which is just, people volunteering and dedicating their time because they felt really passionate about the issues. And so, for a couple of years, there was no paid staff. Students who, decided they wanted to work on something together, and so they made it happen. But as more structure was built, of course, eventually it was incorporated into a nonprofit, official nonprofit, and they were able to raise money and hire their first executive director, and then over time raise more money and also apply for nonprofit grants and get help from governments and foundations, et cetera, et cetera. So for very humble beginnings, but now we are an organization with 14 full-time staff members, and we operate on a budget of about $1.5 million.
Wow, that's pretty good, right?
It's a decent size for local nonprofits. There are smaller nonprofits and bigger nonprofits, but for the local work that we do, we are pretty decent size.
Mm-hmm. And so do you have programs designed specifically for women?
Well, we don't make our programs specific for gender, and so we serve immigrants that come through our doors regardless of their gender or gender identity. And so I would say that we don't have any programs designed specifically for women, but we are aware of the specific or special needs that women have, especially immigrant women have in the society. So even though we don't have gender specific policies or activities, we do understand that there are certain communities that face certain challenges more than others. So, for example, with women, especially immigrant women, a lot of times they, they work in the service industry, and those service industries, such as restaurant work or hotel work, can have, instances where they are exploited. And so, even though we're talking about exploitation of, immigrants as a whole. We do see that there are specific job industries where women work, and so more of them are impacted than men.
Mm-hmm. So, what are the challenges that, well, first of all, do you have more men coming into your organization for help or women, or is it equal?
So I haven't seen a specific breakdown of men versus women. I think they're pretty much about equal. People come to our office for a variety of reasons. Sometimes they just need information on, how to apply for a visa, or they experience some discrimination on a job and they want to
Mm-hmm.
know who they can go to for that. Sometimes they come in looking for jobs and they need help, creating their resume or, filling out application, et cetera, like that. And so those sorts of things are pretty, I think, equal among men and women.
Mm-hmm.
I think for both people who come aged, and so a lot of times, the women who come in, they have families already. And they might be moms, with young children or children in high school, but they need to go back into the workforce because, just one income is not enough for the entire family. And so, both moms and dads will try to work. And so we do see a lot of women who come in because they've decided that they need two incomes to support their family.
And how do they find you?
So one, we have been in the community for a very long time. So just word of mouth, people maybe have gotten services from us in the past, and so they tell their friends and family. And so a lot of it is word by mouth. We also, put together workshops that either we do alone with or with other organizations. And so, we'll do outreach about those workshops, and that's how people hear about it too. And that's the thing we do is we try to work with local reporters
Mm-hmm.
to talk about issues that are relevant or interesting to the immigrant community. And so when reporters write about us, a lot of people do hear about Chinese for affirmative action that way.
And so basically, if you go to Chinatown in San Francisco, you can easily find your organization. I mean, there is an ad or somebody, who has participated in it, and you just meet these people somewhere.
Sure. Yeah, I think the best way is if you walk into any service, nonprofit service organization in Chinatown, and either ask for us by name or ask about a specific thing that you need help with, and that's usually how you will find out about CAA. The great thing about Chinatown here is that most of the nonprofit organizations are connected to each other. There are people from each organization that meets on a regular basis to see how, as a whole, Chinatown can help serve the population, and so that helps us to become more connected, and it also helps the people who walk in because someone can come to us and be like, "Hey, I need help. I'm trying to get free childcare." And we can say, well, we don't do that, but we know someone else who does. So let me give you the phone number for that organization.
How do people even find out that there are organizations that are willing to help you for free? Because, like, for me, it was a very new concept, so I wouldn't be even looking for these organizations.
Right, that's a very good point. I think, yeah, a lot of times if you're new to the country, especially new to a community, the first challenge is just finding out where you can get help.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of times, people just ask their immediate circles, people who live in their building, their teachers or their kids' teachers, maybe their church. Churches are also a very good resource. And so, what we do to make ourselves accessible is to be in touch with those organizations
Mm-hmm.
that interact a lot with community members. And then that's how we put ourselves out there to make ourselves known. And the other thing is, what I mentioned before is just being in the local newspapers. So, immigrant communities, they rely a lot on, newspapers for information. And so, if we make sure that we're in there and talking about what we do and how we can help, then that's how they can also find us.
That's great. That's great. And other people who are entrepreneurs and among the among the community in Chinatown, and do they come for you come to you for help to start a business or to run a business?
Not so much because we don't do economic development for entrepreneurs, but there are other organizations who do that, and we provide the space for them to host that. So, for example, there is a nonprofit called the Northeast Community Credit Union, and they're very close by in Chinatown to us, and they put on these workshops for small businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have a large community room that they provide this workshop in, and we help them advertise. We put up their flyers in our big front window, and so if people walk by our office, they can see that flyer and they can see that there's a small business seminar that's being held there.
And is it popular to start the business among the community members?
Oh, that's a good question. I think there is definitely, an entrepreneurial spirit in Chinatown or among all immigrants, and it doesn't matter, what country you come from. I think people really try to improve their own lives, and they try to, take initiative by thinking, well, what kind of business can I run? It could even be moms that decide that they want to start, a food business because they're great cooks, and they think they can, scale that up and provide it to other people in a business model. So I think there is definitely that. I wouldn't be able to tell you how many people in Chinatown actually do try to start businesses. I think there's probably another organization that can better give you those numbers. But yeah, I think people do start businesses, and that's very apparent, not just throughout Chinatown, but all throughout San Francisco, where you see a lot of mom and pop shops that open, that are run by immigrants and that have been around for a long time. So I think that does exist.
Great. So Susan, what is the Chinese name for affirmative action?
Sure. So in Mandarin, it's 华人权益促进会, and that literally means promoting the rights of Chinese, or the organization for providing the rights or advocating for the rights of Chinese people. So that's literally what that means. So that's been the name for the organization since 1969. One of the programs that actually works specifically with immigrant women is called our CAA Parent Advocates. And what that is we have a group of parents who have children in the local public schools, and we get them together to teach them about leadership skills and about political education, so we can activate them so that they become organizers and advocates for themselves and their children. So it's a program that's been running for, I want to say, 8 years now. And it's been very successful because it's unique in that it's really organizing immigrant women. Not that we limit it only to women, but a lot of the people who join, the parents, they happen to be women. And so a majority of them are. And what has been great is that, we're seeing these women who, before their sole roles might have been, moms, wives, very, roles just within the home. But now, after this program, after going through the training and participating in events at City Hall and talking with the elected officials, they've really found their own voice and their ability to speak up for their needs and their children's needs. And so it's been pretty amazing to see their transformation into a community organizer, and some of the parents have really taken off. They're conducting their own workshops. They're testifying at public hearings. They're participating in rallies, and they're interviewing with reporters. And so they've really asserted their own voice and spirits. And so that's one of the programs that we've been doing for 8 years now, and we're really proud about that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Susan. It was really nice talking to you, and I
Thank
appreciate
you.
your time. Always very nice to learn about a new nonprofit. Well, not very new, but
Right. Sure. Yeah.
been around for a very long time. Thank you so much, Susan.
Thank you, Galina. It was very nice to meet you.